Are you prepared to transform your well-being? I'm Sanjay Raja. My mission is to challenge our perspectives on food, fitness, and overall health. I own a successful nutrition and fitness business based in Orlando, Florida. And through this experience, I've learned that there's no one-size-fits-all solution. From creating delicious and healthy recipes, to training elite athletes, and even writing the book, The Food Talk. I've accumulated a wealth of knowledge, but here's the exciting part. There's always more to discover. That's why I'm embarking on a journey to connect with leading experts, unveiling the secrets to a happier, healthier life. Together, let's explore innovative ways to enhance our well-being. This is Recipe for Wellness. Welcome back, everyone, to season 3 of our podcast, Recipe for Wellness, based on our TV show. So I'm excited because last season, season 2, I wanted to do some shows about this new trend, which is not so new, but new to me and new to most of the public, which is regenerative farming practices. And we didn't get a chance to do it. Things just didn't line up. But you know what? The way the universe works, it lined up this year already. And I am excited to talk to my new friends. And I'll give you a little bit of background. And that is a lot of people, eat beef. It's very popular. But that being said, I grew up all over the world. And I grew up with a lot of lamb in my life. Lamb is amazing. In New Zealand, they consume it as their primary source of meat. New Zealand, for example, that part of the world, and some of the best lamb in the world. And, it's always hard being here in the States to get good quality lamb because it's not such a popular meat, right? So that being said, I wanted to bring in our guests for season 3, Gray's Lambscaping. Did I say the name of the company correct?
Yep.
Awesome. And this is Jess Gray. And I had the pleasure of meeting her husband online. We got to talking, and then I met you. So I'm so excited to bring you on board because we here in the United States are just not educated about lamb, the benefits of it, how amazing of a protein it is, and why it should not be more popular, right? So the first thing I want to talk about is your guys' unique approach to this term of regenerative farming.
Mhm.
So for those of us who don't know, this is a great opportunity to learn about this. But can you define what regenerative farming is? Because I keep hearing this term last year. I'm so excited we're going to get to do a segment with you guys this year.
Yeah, so for us, we use the sheep to give life back to the landscape. That's the bottom line of what it is. So we're taking soils that have been taken from and neglected for so long, and we're allowing the sheep to do what they do naturally. We're putting mineral back in, we're
Hmm.
putting life on the landscape. So as you start to do that, you're growing better grass, and as you're growing better grass, you're bringing the whole life cycle back. So you're bringing bugs back, and you're bringing the birds back, and so it's this landscape that typically was not dead, but just not as lively as it could have been. And now, just because you're bringing sheep back, you're bringing everything else with it. And so the soil is now alive, and we know if we have life on the landscape, everything is healthier from the bugs to the wild animals to, of course, the meat that we're producing as well.
So you're essentially creating a regenerative life cycle within the land
Mhm.
and you guys do this by essentially moving the sheep to different parts of the of your property. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we're rotationally grazing as well. So a lot of what we do is evaluating the landscape for the animal health as well as landscape health. In the summertime, our animals are moving at least twice a week. In the winter, they're moving at least once a week. So we're always thinking not just about animal health, but landscape health and how we're interacting with our environment and making sure that we are always giving more than we are taking away.
Right, right. So one of the unique things I was learning about regenerative farming practices is that it is cost effective,
Mhm.
number one. And I'm a beef connoisseur. I grew up in Kansas City. When I first moved to this country, I grew up in Kansas City, so beef was religion to us, right? And I love everything about it. And your partners at Parsons Creek Steak Company, which they're going to be on season 3 of our show, so I'm excited to have them as well. One of the things I noticed the first thing when they sent me the product was how the fat rendered. That tells you everything you need to know about the health of the animal. I used to be in medical device,
Hmm.
and I used to do surgeries with different surgeons, teaching them about different medical devices. And one of the things I learned being in that world was that the health of the patient is determined by the fat quality in the patient. It needs
Hmm.
to be bright yellow, human fat, visceral fat needs to be bright and yellow. And what we found was that when we, had to open up some people for hip and knee surgery and things of that nature, if we saw opaque, if we saw cloudiness, if we saw black spots, that would tell us everything we need to know about the health of the patient.
Hmm.
It is so true with the meat you eat that the quality of the fat tells you the quality of the meat as well. Now, I know it can be kind of a little crazy transition, going from humans to what I just said, but it gives an idea of what we're
Yeah.
talking about here. And so when I cook with the Parsons Creek Steak Company folks, their steak, their fat rendered amazing. I mean, just the way it tasted, it just felt good when I ate it because I didn't feel any residual effects. I just felt really good on it.
Hmm.
You guys sent me some product and I had the pleasure of cooking with it as well. And I got to tell you, it's the same experience I had is that you can definitely taste the difference between the fat quality from something that's been pasture raised, that's been sustainably sourced versus going to the grocery store, right? When I go to the grocery store, when I used to go to the grocery store, let me put it to you that way, and to get meat, especially like beef and lamb, you know, number one, it's really costly.
Yeah.
Number two, especially lamb, it's considered more exotic meat, at the grocery store. So each like pound brick of lamb was on average anywhere from $10 to $12 per
Hmm.
pound, which is crazy. So one of the things we try to do on this show is not only showcase companies that are doing good for the environment, doing good for the community, that are on the forefront of health and wellness, but we want to talk to people about how eating healthy can be cost effective as well,
Hmm.
right? So how are you guys able to keep your costs down and ship around the country? And what's the benefit of doing that for the consumer versus going to the grocery store and literally playing the lottery and trying to find some meat that, tastes good and makes you feel good?
Yeah, that's a really good question. We are 100% pasture based, like you said, so we aren't finishing our lambs, in a feedlot or anything like that. So that's a big part of it. But our operation, we run our animals on solar farms across the state of Virginia right now, and what that allows us to do is make money grazing and keeping grasses and things like that out of the panels. So it allows the solar panels to do what they need to do, but we get paid to
Hmm.
manage that vegetation. We can then take that money and diversify our operations. So one of the things that we really were passionate about was sharing our lamb with so many other people because we know it is a healthy choice. Our kids love it. Our family has loved eating it. And we've
Hmm.
seen a difference, exactly what you're saying. We've seen a difference in our family eating it. So we were like, how do we get this out to more people? So what we were able to do was partner with Parsons Creek Steak because they've already figured out kind of the ins and outs of
Hmm.
how to ship and who's the better carrier and all of that. They've done a great job figuring that out. For us, it was okay, we have this great product. Can we work together? And at a cost right now, because we get the payment for grazing, we can then sell it at a lower rate to get more people to eat it. This is where we've been focused for our
Hmm.
meat marketing is let's get it started. Let's get people eating it. Let's show them the difference between, an unhealthy cut versus, what we're producing. And as we build more people eating lamb that is raised this way, we can then start to make the money back because we're producing, we're selling more of it is what we were able to do. Um, if we didn't have that solar payment, if this wasn't the way that we were doing it, it would have been a much longer approach and it would have taken us a lot longer to be able to get people our meat.
Yeah. So, the common thing I hear with lamb, with a lot of people who are not used to it, is that when they do try it sometimes, they say the term gamey,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard this many times, right? So how do you mitigate, how do you explain that to somebody? And that is, yes, I know the term gamey. I know exactly what people are talking about. Now, it's a low quality meat. That's not a common meat like lamb and goat here in the States we don't eat. I think it's that flavor of it tastes very outdoorsy,
Hmm.
right? And so that's why they use the term gamey. How do you like, what is so different about your product outside of how you care for the product and how you care for what it eats that I didn't get that gaminess at all. It was amazing. My kids are very discerning eaters now, and they grew up all the world, traveling the world with me. They love lamb. I think my son, who's just a fanatical beef eater, loves it more than beef, honestly. And so how is it that the feed that you guys give the lambs really
Mhm.
transforms the meat so that it's more of a flavor that people can really adjust to versus saying this is gaming?
I would say for us, what we've done a lot is we work with a lot of our genetics. So
Mm,
with my Nuffield studies, I was able to travel a lot of the world. We went through New Zealand, Australia,
yeah,
obviously ate a lot of lamb. It was amazing and delicious. And compared to our what we're producing, I think it's a genetics thing. I think it's the breed that we're working with is a big start for it. And then the other big thing about it is it's actually really funny. It's letting things do what they should be doing, right? So we're letting them eat the grasses and things,
yeah.
not pumping them full of a lot of anything else. I would say that the other thing that works in our favor is that our lamb can be substituted for any beef dish. So when we're trying to get people to eat it, I say, "Hey, do you eat a lot of ground beef?" And they're like, "Yeah, of course, because everybody eats ground beef, right?" And I say,
Right.
"Okay, then try my ground lamb. You're having hamburger helper? Put in my lamb instead."
Yep.
Every single time people were like, I couldn't taste the difference. Or I had a guy for the first time get a roast from us, friends of my kids, and they were like, we've never had lamb. And I was like, oh, roast. Do you crock pot? They're like, yeah. I said, all right, crock pot this, put a little bit of garlic in there,
Hmm.
salt it the way you want or whatever, low and slow, easy. He said it was the best roast he had ever had. And he's like, how did you do that? I said, I didn't do anything. Like we're just really good about the kind of animal that we want to use. So we use hair sheep, and we have a couple different breeds that we've been working on, but we're working with the balance of what we need them to do, but also the kind of product that I want to feed my family. My kids are super picky, and anytime that we have lamb, they are so excited, and they've never had that complaint of that gamey talk,
Hmm.
that they've never felt that. They've never tasted that because for some reason, between the breeding and the way that we raise our animals, we just don't have that.
So, what has been the pushback mostly for you guys in educating the public about the benefits of eating lamb? Because
Mhm,
it's just not a well-known meat in the States. You've got chicken, beef, of course, we talked about fish.
mhm.
What's been the biggest challenge in educating the public about the benefits of, eating more lamb in their diet?
There was a guy I talked to in Texas one time, and I think he said it best because I always went with the people who try lamb try it once and they don't like it. And he said, no, 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 no. They try it twice. The first time they try it, they love it. Then they try to make it and it doesn't go well and they never eat it again. And I thought long about that and I was like, oh man, he's right. It's probably because they tried some crazy dish that,
Yeah.
whatever. And so everybody that we talk to that's like, I don't eat lamb. And I said, well, why don't you eat lamb? Oh, because my parents didn't eat it or, whatever. So
Hmm.
it's not necessarily because they had a bad experience with it. It's that we always call it like this generational loss. Like if your parents or grandparents don't feed you something, you're not as likely to try something. I mean, the newer generations coming up, I think are getting better at that. So we always say it's that generational loss, right? What we're telling them, hey, just try it. Just substitute it in. I guarantee you won't notice a difference, so you might like it better. And walking them through kind of what goes well with it, what pairs well with it if you're having an event or if it's just a family meal. And kind of holding their hand a little bit for some of
Yeah.
this has been super successful for us. So I just tell people, we post I don't have the best pictures, but I post, hey guys, I made this dish and it turned out really cool. If you want the recipe, let me know. Um, so it's been a lot more like hand holding and just getting people to taste it the first time, and showing them that you don't have to make this like you don't have to lollipop it and be a professional chef, right? You can make it in your own kitchen pretty simply.
Yeah, you guys sent me two legs of lamb, and what I
Mhm.
did was, now my job is to cook, my job is to eat, my job is to test new recipes. So I'm a little bit different than your average consumer.
Right.
And so what I did was I wanted to try something very different because typically I don't cook with lamb. I get ground lamb every now and then before I met you guys, but I never got the leg of lamb because number one, it was just cost prohibitive. Number one,
Yeah.
and two, it was this tiny little thing that you would get at the grocery store and it's like very little meat. And like I said, it was cost prohibitive. And I said, I'm not getting the return on investment here. So I never used it.
Mhm.
Then I got your product, and it was two giant legs of lamb, which are amazing looking. And I looked at the layers of fat in there. It looked beautiful. And then what I did was I paired it with spices I got from another potential guest for season three. It's a
Mhm.
gentleman who basically creates spice blends based on historical data of what during before currency, people use spices as currency.
Mhm.
So he makes his own spice blends, and they're amazing. You can tell the difference between fresh and store-bought spice blends. I used the Moroccan spice on the lamb, and it turned out just amazing. The flavor profile, everything was just right on point. And so I think that's the point that I want to get across to people, which is I published a book in 2018 called The Food Talk,
Mhm.
and that book was all about teaching parents how to get your kids to eat everything, right? And so you brought up the point saying previous generations didn't eat lamb, so the current generation doesn't really crave it. You're 100% on the mark because that was the premise of my book,
Mhm.
which was culturally, if you grew up with something, you're more likely to eat it in the next generation. It just gets handed down.
Mhm.
So what I try to prove in that book and what I try to do at home and what I try to do with this TV show is tell people to be adventurous eaters, right? Try something new, and guess what? Worst that'll happen is you say you don't like it, but you try it once. But the best outcome is you've added something new to your palate, and you'll be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!"
Mhm.
Right? And I think one of the many unique benefits of lamb, but I think really something that really does stand out is that I can spice a steak a certain way, and there's certain flavor profiles that match, but with lamb, I could go super exotic with it. For
Mhm.
some reason, lamb meat lends itself to more creativity than beef does,
Yeah,
right?
I love it. I think it's so much fun to play with the flavor profiles of it, and like you're right. If you're super crafty in the kitchen, it's limitless. But
Yes,
it's great for those kids that are getting out of college that are trying to figure out good sources of protein. Like lamb's a great source of protein, but I'm not a very
100%.
good cook. So hey, you could just throw that in a pot and you'll be all right, you know?
Yeah, I always tell people start with small steps, which is okay, if you've never used it, think of it as ground beef. Get some ground lamb, make some burgers out of it. I do that all the time. Kids love the lamb burgers over beef burgers, actually,
Hmm.
because
Yep.
it has this unique flavor profile to it. And then you kind of move up the chain, which is you can roast it, you can bake it, you can saute it, lamb chops. I mean, I tell you what, I grew up with Indian food, of course, being Indian. And then my favorite Indian restaurant, my favorite go-to dish is Indian lamb chops.
Hmm.
I mean, they just do amazing with that, right? It's one of those meats that you can cook rare and it tastes better the less you cook it.
Yeah, it's always surprising because I think sometimes when I give people our steaks and they're like, I really like steaks, I'm like, okay, it does taste a little bit different and you're gonna overdo it. No, I don't. No, I won't. I'm like,
Yeah.
you will. Like, you need to
Yep.
tone back. Like,
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I did when I cooked your two legs of lamb with those spices.
mhm.
I did low and slow. I did three. Basically, did three. I put it on 325. They were each a pound, so I did it for 3.5 hours. Put some rosemary, put some thyme, threw a little beef broth in there just to cover the bottom of the pan, and I sliced it up. I made shawarma meat out of it. I made we put it on so many different things. Like I reconstitute that meat in different like lamb tacos are a household favorite now.
That's awesome.
Right? Yeah. So it just getting people to think that whatever you do with beef, you could do with lamb, and in fact, you could do a little bit more because that flavor profile will go so many different directions. You
Mhm.
won't expect what's coming, which is amazing.
Mhm.
So let's talk about this then. You talked about how you're keeping costs down by doing the solar farming
Mhm.
and such. How did you guys pair raising lamb with the solar farming? That's a unique pairing. How'd you guys do that?
Yeah, it really came about this idea of we could keep growing our numbers if we had access to land, right? So as a farmer, the two
Yeah.
biggest barriers to being a farmer are access to land and capital. And
Yes.
solar solved both of those problems for us. So we were getting paid to manage land that wasn't ours. So it worked out really well. And as we were going through this process, we were thinking, well, what else, how else can we diversify our operation? And it was what are we doing with our lambs as we're raising them, right? So you keep the girls back to as your replacements, but then the boys, you either become a breeder or you don't, and what else are we doing? And so it became an opportunity for us to shift them into that meat market,
Mm.
and make them more valuable in that sense. We could, could I castrate all of them and keep them on the farm? I could, but then you start to get into these debates about age that people prefer to have their meat processed at and weights and all of those kind of things. So really for us, it was, okay, we have these up to 100 pounds. So ideal weight between 70 to 100 pounds. What
Hmm.
can we do with them? Hey, let's get them into that meat market. And the great thing about it is because we typically spring lamb, they are eating a lot of really good different grasses than the older ewes eat. So when you've got them out there at the very beginning of the year, they're tackling some of that stuff that the older rams and ewes don't eat. That helps them grow faster and better. And it kind of wins when you've got this age difference on the farm. And then as the grasses grow through the summer, you're pulling the rams away from their mothers because they're weaned and they don't need to be there anymore. And then that then shifts into that meat market. So it really, for us, was a lot about flow and the natural flow of
Hmm.
making it all work together.
So when you look at the current state of our food
Mm,
here in this country, one of the themes we tried to tackle last year was the farm to table experience, which
mhm.
is I've traveled all over the world, lived in a bunch of places, and having your food unprocessed and kept in its most natural, simplest form is a birthright out there. We lost that here, which
Yep.
is unfortunate. And now, if you want that experience, you got to pay top dollar to get it, right? So, this is one of the things that is kind of a test for me whenever I get a new product in that I really want to try, that I want to share with our audience, which is how much has my food been tampered with? How much has it been processed, right?
Right.
And so, the lamb I received from you guys, the Parsons Creek steak that I received from them, it was not even processed. And one of the things that they told me, which blew my mind because I was so uneducated about this stuff, was that they source their beef from a single cow when they ship it out,
Yep.
which makes a huge difference. I didn't even realize that. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, so when I got ground beef or ground lamb from the grocery store, how many animals were processed into that 1 pound of ground beef or ground lamb that I got?
Hmm.
Right? Now, is that the same philosophy you guys keep? Sourcing it from as few animals as possible? And why aren't, I get it, it's mass produced, it's cheaper, but why can't grocery stores do that? Source it from single animals versus going mass production and you get 20 different animals.
Yeah, so ours is same as Parsons Creek. So when we take our animals to our abattoir, uh, they're in the same county. They're a 9-minute drive. So that's the other thing. It's really funny is when you talk to a lot of people about how close is their abattoir to where they're raising their animals,
Hmm.
and you'll hear stories people driving 5 hours, very very long day to get their animals, and we load ours in the morning and they're there in 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for us, it's that convenience of it was grown right there, it was processed right there, and then it's, shipped out. Um, and we do. I can tell you those 10 that went in. I can tell you where they were born. I can tell you who their mom was. I can, I can track all of that and give all that information.
Hmm.
And that's really important to us too, because it is the story of our product, right? It's super important to us to be able to tell you that. I would say, in terms of grocery stores not doing that, the reason is quite simply the assembly line mentality of it, right?
Mm.
So animals come in,
Yeah.
they get, sectioned the way they need to go, and whatever goes to ground then goes in, and that's where that happens. Whereas with ours, I know each package is one animal, which is also
Wow.
why our weights sometimes are not exactly lined up with a pound, right? We try to
Yes.
get to that mark,
Yes.
but it's
Yeah.
not always there. And we've had some people go, well, it's annoying that it's not always a pound. And I go, but it's the same animal,
Yeah.
right? And for
Yeah.
me, that means something. Some people it might not. And like you said, some people might not even know that that's a thing.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a thing and until I got educated. And it's just one of the many things I've been learning as I've been going on this journey with the show. So let's talk about this then. And that is you guys are really trying to bring the messaging of lamb as a viable source of protein here in the States,
Yep.
right? And so, what outreach programs have you guys done? What kind of education are you guys doing right now to get that message out so that people are aware of it?
Yeah, so we're in the process of finalizing a commercial that we hope gets out, and it's just an Eat Lamb commercial. So it's not about us specifically or anything. The goal is that this can go out nationwide, and everybody will then start looking for their local source of lamb. Um, that's the first thing that we've done. We've done a lot of last year. I launched a bumper sticker campaign, and all it said was "Eat Lamb." Very simple, nothing crazy. And we gave those away, and I had 3,000 of those go away. I had one that said lamb. It's not just for Easter. So the two big upticks in lamb sales in the United States are at Easter and Christmas. And
Yeah.
as great as that is, we want people to eat lamb on a Tuesday night. So we were
Yes.
trying to get people to understand, hey, it's any time. So those stickers went out really well. We connected with a lot of people all over the U.S. For those, and then we've been on the road as much as we possibly can to just talk to other producers as well and try to get people to understand the value that local produced lamb can bring, the protein and everything. So I was actually at the National FFA convention this year, just talking to young producers, so the future generation of farmers, to get them to be thinking back towards lamb. A lot of these individuals were doing it for 4-H or FFA, and so they had two or three lambs, and they're like, you can't make money in lambs, so I'm going to shift to cattle or row crop. Um, and so I was like, no, no, we can do this. We can do this together. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the viability of it. So we've been doing a lot of outreach to high school, college, getting people to understand that. We've done a lot of visits and tours with older groups and older farmers as well. We're just constantly trying to have these conversations to get people to understand the value. And then, like you said, tying it back into the landscape is that, sheep are great for the land and we need to have them back. And it's not,
Hmm.
when I say that, it's not like a one or the other. It's not cows or sheep. I don't believe in that. I actually would like to see the two work together more. I would love more multi-species grazing because that would actually be even better for the landscape. So it doesn't have to be people choosing beef or lamb or chicken or fish. We can actually have a better balanced diet, having a little bit of all of them. And that's what we've been trying to get people to understand. And so we share a lot of the American Lamb Board recipes and
Hmm.
community market outreach and things like that. So we're constantly trying to get people, hey, just try it. I promise you won't regret it. Um,
So how many providers of lamb are there like you guys across the states?
Ooh, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
Um,
Okay.
there's a lot out there. The funny thing is the trend is shifting. So it used to be thought that a lot of the lamb eaters were on the West Coast, and it used to be that a lot of the producers were on the West Coast. But data is starting to show there's a shift. Um, so a lot of the lamb eaters are actually on the East Coast now, and actually down towards Florida.
Oh
And
wow.
so it's a,
Okay.
it's a cultural shift too, which is really cool. Um,
Yeah.
but these trends are just showing us some of this information about what we thought we knew versus what we do know, what is the truth. So the eaters are shifting coasts. And then we're also looking at this generational difference, which I'm sure you know a lot about. So those that are starting to cook as we shift generational wealth as well are individuals that want the story about how their meat is being produced. They're willing to pay a
Hmm.
little bit more for that because it does have this story and producer connected to it. So we're starting to also see this gap that has been formed in beef before the prices got where they're at right now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
there was this door that is now being opened that lamb can actually start to fit into better because we have the story, we're producing it faster. We have really great producers. We have the abattoirs. The biggest hurdle is kind of what we've been talking about the whole time, which is just we just need one person to try it, right? We just need that next person to try it. That's really where we're at.
It's amazing that is if I want a really good cut of lamb, I'd have to go to a specialized butcher shop that I have to find around here. That's
Hmm.
typically the way I have to go. Because I don't really trust grocery store bought meat since I've been on this journey since season two. And it's just cheaper. Like, for example, like during football games, diehard Chiefs fan. I know we're at a low point, but we'll get back there. Anyhow, but anytime there's a big Chiefs game and it's me and the kids, what I do is I go get probably a 10-pound brisket from the
Hmm.
butcher shop, and I can make 15 meals out of it.
Yep.
may cost me 99 to $100, but it's totally worth it.
Yep.
Because if I look at the cost per meal I get out of it, it averages out to maybe $5, $6 a head, you know,
Hmm.
and that's the thing is that I know that meat is pretty quality, just the way it cooks, the fat renders. And I talked to the butcher about it, how it was, where it came from. They know all the information about it.
Hmm.
And it's a good point. And the reason why I'm bringing up this conversation is a good point, what you just said, which is this generation, they're cost conscious, but more importantly, they're health conscious even more so. They're willing to pay a little bit more to know where their food comes from,
Yep.
right? And it's amazing because with my other company, we did a lot of corporate health and wellness, right?
Hmm.
And with that came the fact that this current generation of workers, and even the previous ones, even before the Gen Xers, before that generation, which is my generation, Gen Xers we worked hard, we just kind of did our thing, we never complained, and there was no
Yep.
such thing as a work-life balance, no such thing. The next generation, the current generation now, work-life balance is more important than ever and attention to their own health is more important than ever,
Yep. Yep.
right? So, one of the things I've seen is that, and I'm sure you're aware, is that you see all these meal prep services, right?
Hmm.
Where they set into like HelloFresh and all these different companies. The one thing I know about this because they sent me some stuff saying, "Hey, can you take a look at our stuff and maybe endorse our product?" I said I couldn't do it because whatever health benefits you got out of it were lost in the fact that everything was packed with salt in order for them to ship it across the country. But here's the thing. This is the shift that needs to happen, which is, and maybe you and I can work together to educate people on that, which is those protein sources were mostly chicken, fish, beef, and I didn't see any lamb
Nope.
at all.
Nope.
Why is that?
I honestly, it breaks my heart. I guess I should also say I didn't grow up eating lamb either. I actually didn't have lamb until we processed our own on our own farm, and I was like, I have been missing out. Um, and now it's a part of our diet. It's an important part of our diet.
Yeah.
And getting, and I tell my kids, I'm like, this is the most digestible form of protein you can have. Your body likes lamb. It craves lamb once it has it
Hmm.
because it can, absorb it and do what it needs. Uh, so yeah, we cry about that all the time. And then when we get through and try to connect with these companies, the problem is that people just are afraid of it. They just don't know how to cook it. We don't understand it. And so that's where, again, a lot of the hand holding on our side has come in of here's a really easy
Yeah.
recipe. You can do this. And you would think that those companies that do ship would have an easy lamb recipe. Hey, put ground in there. Ground is the easiest one to work with. Um,
Yeah.
so we've been trying to change that. I know the American Lamb Board has been trying to. Other local producers have been as well. I think the hardest part is that really what it comes down to, price point is a big part of it. And
Okay.
we can still import lamb cheaper than what our producers can provide cost wise. That's
Gotcha.
I would say our next biggest hurdle is how do we compete with import being as low as it is, and they're working on it. So the American Sheep Industry Association is working on that right now and trying to figure out how can import be so much cheaper? What are avenues that we can be producing this cost wise to help people? I actually was in a call earlier today with a beef producer who said, sooner or later the beef market is going to get too high where people won't afford it, and maybe lamb can start to fill that price gap. And I was like, that would be
Yeah.
great. I would love nothing more than for that to happen. I just don't know that people who are so reliant on beef being at whatever price point will pay a little bit more for the lamb, even though beef went up, $4 or $5, whatever it is. Um,
Yeah.
so cost is
Yeah.
definitely a hurdle, I think, as well.
Well, cost is the hurdle, and then for this generation, they're more environmentally conscious, and they're about sustainability. So I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, I would think lamb has a less carbon footprint than cattle,
Hmm. They do,
right?
yeah. So that's the other thing. Like we are trying to tune into what this generation is looking for and say that lamb has been here all along. Let's let it in through that door, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, anything having to do with our food source, I'm always all in talking about it. But I want to take this opportunity now is to give you the floor here a little bit and talk to us about what your company is doing as far as outreach programs, where people can find you, your website. And so, because I really want people to connect, and we'll have your information on our website as well. But I want people to connect with you guys and be a resource for them because I think the biggest hurdle is just education and just getting comfortable with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So for us, we run our grazing business, which is Graze Landscaping, and you can find us
Hmm.
online at grazelandscaping.com. And that just talks a lot about the conversation that we just had, how we are sustainable, how we work with the landscape, what we're trying to do, bringing farming back. We talk a lot about our farming opportunities. Solar is a really great opportunity to create farmers. We know that there's going to be a great shift. The average age of the farmer right now is in their 60s. Solar offers the opportunity for 18-year-olds to get out there, start a flock, get paid, and then cart before the horse, kind of, right? They can make the money on the farm that they don't have yet, and then take that money and buy the farm. So it allows
Yeah.
opportunity for younger farmers. So we talk about that on the website. We have internships, opportunities to work with us to grow and learn the ropes a bit. So that's all on our website. But where we sell our meat out of our home farm, which is Kitchen Sink Farm, because
Hmm.
it makes more sense for us to have that operation. So the meat side is through Kitchen Sink Farm, which we started with the idea of bringing our kids back to the landscape. One of the things that we really wanted after COVID was how do we get our kids to understand that things don't come from a grocery store? Um, and so
Yeah. Yeah.
our kids can tell you how to process all the animals that we have, and they've done it. They've done hands-on, and the
Wow.
hardest jobs. Even though we have like a plucker, we still made them pluck chickens, all the way down to the cuts and things like that, because we wanted them really in touch with what they were eating and understanding. They plant a lot of our seeds and things like that. So we do a lot of work with our kids there, and then we also, their friends come to the farm. We've had teachers reach out and have us talk about working on the landscape and what that really means. We don't really talk about the processing in the schools because people don't really like that as much.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I get it. I get it.
but just getting kids connected back to the landscape. And it's so funny. Our daughter is in middle school and they have to take an ag course, which I love that they have to take ag. And
Yeah.
she came home one day and she goes, "Mom, these kids don't know anything." And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, it was something so simple as like chickens and eggs. She's like
Yeah.
they didn't understand this idea. And I was like, well, Danielle, you just understand it because of who your parents are. Like you're just lucky that you live that. Um, so
Yeah.
we've been trying a lot of working within the community to try to get kids connected to the landscape again, and understanding where that food chain is and how it works.
Yeah.
But we have uh a sheep empire podcast that we just talk about grazing sheep and on solar what that looks like and problems that people might
Yeah.
face and stuff like that. Um I'm a board member for the American Solar Grazing Association, so uh people can check out kind of all of that information through solargrazing.org. Um and then like I said before, I was a 2023 Nuffield Scholar, so I got paid to thankfully travel the world and study sheep economies and learn from
Mm.
all of the different
Great.
countries. The only there were a couple countries I didn't get to that are on our bucket list that we will eventually get to. But um,
Which ones?
so I didn't get to Ireland, which I was really a bummer. And then
Okay.
I didn't even get to like India, where we would really like to go. I mean, I have this long list of man. I got to travel to some really amazing places, but I missed out on some really amazing places. Um,
Well, I was in India in January of this year, and I'm going to be back in India again January of 2026
okay.
for a family wedding. But I tell you what, there's certain parts of Mumbai where I grew up, which is Bombay,
Mhm.
and that's the Lamb district. This is where you go,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
This is where they make the best recipes and all that. So yeah, highly recommend. So I hope you guys get out there at some point.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's
and I,
it's on their list, I promise.
Yeah. And I don't want this to be lost on the audience. What is the website that people can interact with you directly? It'll be on our website. People can find you, but what's the direct website?
Yeah, grazelandscaping.com is how you can get to us. Everything comes to me, so people are stuck with me basically.
Okay. And then just to make it a point so that it sticks out in people's heads, which is what I'm seeing at grocery stores is one brick of ground lamb anywhere from 9.99 to 12.99, somewhere around
Hmm.
there. And you guys ship nationwide direct to consumer, correct?
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So what is kind of the cost that comes in for you guys as far as a pound of ground lamb so people kind of understand the comparison and just how much better quality they're getting with you guys?
Yeah, so right now we're anywhere from 10 to 13. It just depends on the season and everything. And we have run some good sales on everything, but it's like you said earlier, we we raise them,
Yeah.
not terribly far from the abattoir goes to the processor, and then it's in everybody else's home. So there isn't a lot of extra hands on our process at all. It's quite simple. But that's where price point wise we have to be for, you know, dealing with shipping costs and everything in between. Um,
Well, when you guys shipped it out to us to try it out, I could tell everybody that it came pretty quickly. Number one, it was packed really well in dry ice, and we put it right in the freezer in the fridge, and the quality was just you could just definitely taste the difference.
mhm,
And it's one of those things where what you see, especially with this generation and the future generations to come, is that they will spend money on three things I have found.
mhm,
They will spend money on entertainment in an up economy or down economy. They'll spend money on health and wellness in an
mhm.
up economy or down economy. Because here's the thing, if you don't feel good, you can't be productive, you can't go make money, you can't take care of yourself,
Yep.
right? And so those, out of the three things, those are the main two that really stuck out to me was that, in talking to our audience and interacting with them, is that they will spend the extra dollar, extra $2 to
Yep.
go out there and buy quality product. Because just 3 years ago, 4 years ago, you could take $20 and go to McDonald's and feed a family of four. Can't do that anymore.
Right.
So now the choice is pretty clear. Do I want to spend $40 to eat cheap cuts of meat and just stuff that's going to make you feel bad? Or do you want to take that $40 and really find food that sustains me, tastes good, I can make multiple dishes out of, and that is just a better cut of meat, right? So
Hmm.
the playing field in so many cases has been leveled now, and
Hmm.
our choices are becoming more. So I think that's the reason why I really loved interacting with you guys. It's the passion you put into your product. It's what you guys are doing to sustain the environment, educate the public. And it just reminded me when I got your product of being in New Zealand. It was amazing.
Well,
Yeah,
I appreciate
absolutely
that.
amazing.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that because, like I said, I met some amazing producers who are, generations deep in this, and I what I love about having toured is that they care so much about what they're producing, that it blows my mind. I mean, they're thinking like four generations out down the road about what they're producing and what is the customer going to like that, and that's something that we brought back that we were like, we want people to see our passion as much as they as New Zealand, Australia, some of these other producers. So it's been something that's been at the forefront of what we're trying to do, and trying to get people just to understand the value of it, comparatively is, it's hard to measure that, right?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I'll leave the audience with this, which is if you guys have not tried lamb, here's my challenge to everybody in the audience, both on the podcast and of course the TV show audience, which is try it once. Go small, meaning try ground lamb, make some burgers out of it, and then start taking steps forward,
Hmm.
right? So it's just the easiest thing in the world to try, and I swear if you try it one time, especially quality products such as yours, you don't go back. You just don't go back. Yeah, you can't. You can't do it. So, one more time, your website, please, just so everybody got it down.
Yeah, it's at grayslambscaping.com.
Excellent. Well, I can't thank you enough for the time. I just love the fact that we've connected with you guys, and I can't wait to shoot your segment for season three, which is coming up here very soon.
Yeah.
And for everybody in the audience who doesn't know, season three of Recipe for Wellness we're going to start filming here probably early 2026. The podcast, we're going to launch this episode out probably in the next couple of weeks. And we are full steam ahead. And not only we're going to be on PBS, we're going to be on a number of streaming channels, Amazon Prime. So there's definitely our content to get out there on the streaming side because it has resonated with everybody. We can't thank you enough for watching and being a part of our audience and allowing us to flourish. But Jess, thank you once again. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. Until the next episode, and we'll see you soon.